Welcome back to the channel. In the previous episode of Spiritually Conscious Soul 101, I spoke about fourth density conditions, the information gleaned from the Ra contact or Law of One material. In this episode, I'll speak on the subject of the distinguishing characteristics of each density as they relate to incumbent souls that graduate to a higher vibrational level. To place this into the perspective of our consciousness evolution, I'll refer to the third density through to the seventh. I do so because the increase in vibration only refers to a level of consciousness that promotes self-awareness, that is capable of abstract thought. So while there is a possibility that the third density entities may be able to bring self-awareness to their second density pets, the first two density levels do not generally factor into this vibrational increase and evolution of consciousness. To begin with, the characteristics of teaching and learning that each density confers on the souls that enter a higher density will be explained. But before I talk about each characteristic, there's one important issue I need to mention. An issue that all souls will face in transcending from one density to another. This was actually outlined in Ra's answer to the question 82.29 Professor Elkins put to Ra, which featured in the previous episode. Let's revisit that question and the answer that was given by Ra. Question 82.29. You stated in a much earlier session that it is necessary to polarize anything more than 50% service to self to be harvestable, fourth density positive. Was this condition the same at the time before the veil? The same percentage polarization? Ra's answer. I am Ra. The query is not answered easily, for the concept of service to self did not hold sway previous to what we have been calling the veiling process. The necessity for graduation to fourth density is an ability to use, welcome and enjoy a certain intensity of the white light of the one infinite creator. In your own terms, at your space-time nexus, this ability may be measured by your previously stated percentages of service. Prior to the veiling process, the measurement would be that of an entity walking up a set of your stairs, each of which was imbued with a certain quality of light. The stair upon which an entity stopped would be either third density light or fourth density light. Between the two stairs lies the threshold. To cross that threshold is difficult. There is resistance at the edge, shall we say, of each density. The faculty of faith or will needs to be understood, nourished and developed in order to have an entity which seeks past the boundary of third density. This passage is really quite well framed by Ra and requires little illumination. It suffices to say that at the edge of each density there is a resistance that will hinder the incumbent soul from stepping up to the higher density level. In this case, from the third to the fourth. That resistance, however, can be overcome by the soul understanding, nourishing, and developing the faculty of faith. Let's move on then to the characteristics of each density level. Number one, the third density is that of self-awareness. Throughout the teachings on the Law of One material, we've come to understand that the third density is the level at which an incarnated soul entity becomes aware of itself. That is, it has a biological body and has a mind that contains memory. The thought process is also capable of abstract thought. The French philosopher René Descartes coined the phrase, "I think, therefore I am." When I combine the Law of One concept with Elena Danan's information on the Cedar program, where 22 Cedar races plus the Anunnaki combined in an experiment to create a human being from an extant hominid species, then we can see how the concept of self-awareness becomes the relevant characteristic of the third density. Number 2. In fourth density, the soul learns about love or gains understanding. It has already been said that the fourth density is one of deep compassion and empathy with the third density sorrows felt by third density denizens. This is the understanding that is gained in addition to learning about love. Ra also mentions that the fourth density is where the soul strives toward light and wisdom, which is a characteristic of the fifth density. Number 3. In the fifth density, the soul learns light and wisdom. The fifth is known as the wisdom density, and the questioner asks Ra about its characteristics. Ra gives the following answer. I am Ra. The wisdom density is an extremely free density, whereas the lessons of compassion leading to wisdom necessarily have to do with other selves. Ra makes it clear that the learning of compassion, which is done primarily in the fourth density, is achieved through the interaction with other selves. And this is what graduates a soul into the fifth density and turns compassion into wisdom. Number 4. In the sixth density, the soul learns about love, light, love, or unity. In order to understand the expression love, light, love, I offer the following. Ra, in responding to question 82.29, spoke about enjoying a certain intensity of the white light of the one infinite creator. This was a referral to fourth density graduation. However, sixth density graduation imbibes a much greater intensity of this same white light. To further expand on this, we need to look at the question Professor Elkins posed on the sixth density connection to love, light, and light love. Question 64.6. Could you describe or tell me of the rituals or technique used by the Ra in the direction of the service? Ra answers, I am Ra. We seek the Creator upon a level of shared experience to which you are not privy. And rather than surrounding ourselves in light, we become light. We seek now without polarity. Thus we do not evoke any power from without, for our search has become internalized as we become love light. The aspects of love and light are explained by Ra as a choice to no longer clothe themselves with this white light, but instead to become that light. So light and love become synonymous with each other, and together form a perfect unity. Point number 5. The seventh density is called the gateway to intelligent infinity. Professor Elkins asks Ra about which color ray initiated the transfer of experience for the individual. Question 84.21. Is there any way to tell which ray the transfer was for the individual? Ra's answer. I am Ra. We may not speak of the violet ray transfer except to note that it is an opening to the gateway of intelligent infinity. It is in the seventh density that the entity seeks to become unified for entry to the eighth density, and the oneness of the infinite creator. This is a gathering of spiritual mass and a departure from the individual soul's identity as mind-body-spirit complex, even from a group memory complex, in favor of a complete and unified whole with the one infinite creator. All fractals cease at this level to be fractals as they meld into the infinite creator's oneness. That's all we have time for today, so don't forget to hit the thumbs up and subscribe buttons. Thank you for watching the channel. Be sure to catch up with the latest material on the next viewing of Spiritually Conscious Soul 101.